Welcome everybody. I want to talk really quickly about starting your morning off properly, and I know there's a lot of these videos on YouTube and whatnot, and a lot of people talk about this, but I want to give you guys my own kind of rendition on it and a few tips, things that have helped me throughout the years, and let's get right into it. I like to start my morning off with a set of 3 things that I do, and I'll talk more about these 3 things in the near future, but I kind of just want to give you guys a brief rundown on the framework of how my morning starts. And the first thing I do when I wake up, you guys, is I try to check my thoughts. And I'm getting better at this, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect at it, but sometimes I'll wake up with anger, or I'll wake up and just let myself get taken over by negative thinking. You've got to try to do your best to not let that happen to you. And I know we live in a crazy world. I'm not saying that people should wake up and just be totally happy and be fake, because we do, again, live in a crazy world. And some anger at the insanity and some frustration with your schedule is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Be honest with yourself. But if you can be an optimist more often than you are a pessimist, if you can try to find the good in things, you're going to do yourself a lot of benefit, especially if you can do it long enough, ladies and gentlemen, to the point where you can make that part of your natural cycle of thoughts, your kind of circadian rhythm of your thinking. If you can try to search for the good in things, we're so programmed to try to find the bad in things, and that's one of the ways that we have been kind of taken over by our own minds. The TV and the subliminals and many other things are pushing this. The system overlords want you to find the negative in everything. They want you to dwell on depressive thoughts and a lack of hope and faith. And again, we'll talk about that in the near future. But if you can take a few deep breaths, tell yourself you love yourself, and actually feel it, you're going to do yourself a lot of benefit if you can do that every morning. What I've done is I've made my personal routine revolve around grounding and coffee. So I drink coffee every morning. When I wake up, you guys, I let the dogs out, and I have this nice little patch of grass and dirt, a bunch of walnut trees. I have a ton of trees in my house, in my backyard. It's awesome, which is great because that actually is going to be effective at blocking out the 5G signals, and I'll talk more about that in the near future. So you want to plant yourself some trees. I'll just throw that in there really quick. Get some trees, plant them. Get out of the city. If you live in an apartment, try to get out of that damned apartment. But you don't want to live crammed on top of people. And I know some people may not be able to afford living in, a house currently. I know in California, you guys, this is just a side note, an apartment is about anywhere from $1,200 to all the way up to like $2,200 depending on where you live. My hometown in California, the apartments right now are about $1,450 for a studio. It's absolutely ridiculous. Who can afford that, and who would want to pay for that if they could afford it? But I currently live in Virginia, and for about $800 a month, I can live in this beautiful home with this huge yard with walnut trees. It's just amazing. So try to get out of your living situation, you guys, if you can. Get out of your living situation, or where your environment where you're living, if it's like an apartment, because there's so much Wi-Fi, you guys, moving through those apartments. There's so much electromagnetic radiation that is affecting your cells, affecting your DNA, all the organelles in your cell. It's affecting your mind. There is so much research, documentation, and evidence showing that electromagnetic radiation, cell phone radiation, and all this Wi-Fi garbage is toxic. This is the one way that they're getting us, in my opinion, most effectively. The food and the water is one thing, but it doesn't come close, in my opinion, to the warfare, the frequency warfares, the radiation warfare. I've said it once and I'll say it again. Here in 2019, we are experiencing about 100 million times more electromagnetic radiation than our grandparents did. And there are so many issues that are prevalent now that weren't when our grandparents were young. But aside from that, you guys, I start my morning off with coffee. Now, I brought the whole apartment thing up because it's hard to do grounding in an apartment, especially if you live on the top floor. If you wake up and you have to walk all the way down there right after you've woken up down to like the courtyard or the patch of grass, the little 5-foot patch of grass you have at your apartment, you might not want to do it. So making things convenient, easy, and economical is much more efficient. So what I do is I wake up, you guys, I take the dogs out, I stand barefoot on the dirt, and I do some visualization. I imagine cords from my feet going down into the center of the earth, and I breathe energy up those cords into my body, and I imagine light around my body, and I hold it there, and I tell myself I love myself, and a handful of other affirmations, and I try to do my best to feel it. Visualization, you guys, is not going to work effectively unless you feel it, because emotions are what affects the subconscious mind, and through the subconscious mind we can actually begin to affect our life through many different processes. And I'll talk about that in the near future, but there's nothing, everyone knows that visualization and positivity are very important things to success. Most athletes do this. Most very successful people have some form of visualization in their life because it can affect the way you feel about yourself and the world if you do it often enough to the point where it becomes part of your mental loop. You want to do this stuff and tell yourself you love your stuff and all these great things so often that it becomes part of your normal circadian mental rhythm. You want to do it long enough to the point where you believe it, because once you start to believe these things that you tell yourself, it becomes part of your natural thinking processes and there's no effort involved anymore, and that's when your life has changed. But that's besides the point. We'll get into that in the near future. I talk about that stuff on my Patreon page, and if you guys are interested, if you want to have direct access to me and ask me questions and things of that nature, I can't do it here on the YouTube channel. I try to get back to people to the best of my ability, but sometimes it's kind of difficult with the amount of comments that I'm getting. I'm appreciative, very appreciative for the comments, but with my schedule, I can't afford to do things this way all the time on YouTube. So if you want direct access to me, if you want hours and hours and hours of bonus video material that you will not find here on the YouTube channel, head over to my Patreon page and consider becoming a monthly member. The links are in the description box. And also, I just want to remind you guys, if you haven't done so already, if you enjoy this video, if you enjoy my channel, please hit the like button and the bell button and subscribe. That way you can be notified when I come online and post videos and things like that, and you can have access or notifications every time I post new content, which is every week. I'm also going to be doing live streaming down the road in the future, so make sure to hit that bell button if you're subscribed, and that way I come up in your notifications when I do go live. So now that we've got that out of the way, I want to talk again, or continue talking about doing things in threes. I wake up, I do visualization while I'm grounding. So I'm affecting my mind and putting positivity in my mind, which is going to help affect the rest of my day. I'm standing barefoot on the earth and grounding myself, and grounding is a huge, grounding is incredibly important. Grounding yourself to the earth is something that most people never do. Most people are walking around on shoes the majority of their life. Most people sleep on beds that aren't connected or grounded to the earth. Most people, we are living in these boxes. These houses are like the pods from the Matrix, ladies and gentlemen, where you're plugged in. You're plugged into the electricity, the dirty electricity. You're plugged into the alternating current, fluorescent and compact, or CFL's compact fluorescent lighting. You're plugged into the LED lighting. All this stuff emits toxic wavelengths of blue light. Blue light affects the cells. It affects the oxygen uptake of the cell. There's a lot of issues with this stuff, you guys. We are around all of these electronics in these homes, and we are around different forms of, like these drapes right now. They're blocking light out. The paint on the walls is toxic. That stuff, it's just not good. Most of the things in a house are toxic. People have microwaves, refrigerators, all sorts of, again, crazy electricity moving through the walls. This stuff all affects your connection to the earth, connection to the natural world. Connect yourself back to the earth by walking barefoot on the earth. This has a massive effect on your physiology and your electromagnetic field. Every living organism has an electromagnetic field, ladies and gentlemen. Most people refer to this as an aura. When you stand barefoot on the earth, you charge yourself by bringing electrons, negatively charged electrons, up into your feet, which reduce inflammation. It moves up the body and affects every single aspect of your physiology. If you don't believe me, check out Clinton Ober's book, Earthing. It's an amazing book. There's plenty of research that's been done on the efficacy of grounding, and you can prove to yourself that grounding works with a voltmeter and a handful of different instruments, but we're not going to really talk about that right now. But grounding, every day I like to start out with grounding, and grounding, coffee, and positivity, visualization, emotional visualization, because anyone can think, I'm happy. You can tell yourself that all day, but if you don't actually feel it, it's not going to affect anything. But you just start off doing it. Get yourself a routine. I'm not saying that you need to do the same routine I do, but try to do things in threes. Try to do things in threes. This has a very uplifting effect. you kind of will create a framework of, once you get your morning routine dialed in, it leads to the rest of your day and the routines that follow thereafter. But this is kind of like your foundation. A table won't stand without 3 legs. So I like to look at it like that. Just do 3 things. If you try to do 4 things, that's fine, but you might get overwhelmed. Just do it easily to make things easy. I drink purified water, I drink coffee, organic coffee made with purified water that I've added sometimes oils to, or I will take particular supplements in the morning, mushrooms, lion's mane, things like that. So I drink really healthy coffee in the morning while I do my grounding and my emotional visualization, and that helps me for the rest of the day. It's just a good thing to have a routine. You want to have some type of sail set, ladies and gentlemen. If you wake up every morning and you don't have something to follow, if you don't have a particular pattern to follow, you're kind of you're not as well off, in my opinion, because if you have a pattern to follow and you look at it like it's a sail set for the right direction, if you look at this morning routine of 3s like that, you can really start steering yourself for achieving your goals, especially if you're using visualization, which I will talk about in the near future, and I have talked extensively about in my Patreon page. So for you guys, your morning routine is you wake up and you have a glass of water with some pink sea salt in it, and after that, or while you're doing that, you write down 5 goals for your day, and after that you might do something like I don't know, walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes. All this stuff, what's beautiful about this is once you get used to a pattern, you'll discover that you can also you can kill multiple birds with one stone. And what I mean by that is that maybe your routine involves walking on the treadmill for 10 minutes, but you could tell yourself positive things or think positive feelings while you're doing the treadmill. So you can get where I'm getting at. Now, also, you guys, I like to, depending on what time of the year, let me just put this out there right now. My morning routine changes throughout the year. Throughout the year, I will actually wake up a little bit later. Right now, I wake up at about 6 o'clock, and in Virginia, it's dark at 6. And when I take the dogs out in the morning, it's dark out. So throughout the year, I will wake up later. And when I do wake up later and the sun's coming up, ladies and gentlemen, I will do a little bit of, I'll let the sun come into my eyes. I will not directly look into the eyes, but I do incorporate a little bit of sun gazing in my morning routine. Sometimes I'll do a little bit of morning therapy. What essentially I'm trying to get you guys to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to start your day off on a positive note with health. And what happens is that this is actually the key, the more I think about it, to remaining healthy and getting healthy, is that you need to learn to start your day on a positive note. You need to learn to start your day on a healthy note. Otherwise, if you're waking up and you're eating all the garbage, if you're eating the donuts and all the other bullshit that people are eating, you are not going to do yourself a service. You are going to get into a toxic cycle, a toxic pattern, and that's what most people have, ladies and gentlemen. Most people's patterns are heavily toxic. Most people's patterns, when they wake up, they do negative things that bring them down and degrade their health. You do not want to do that. You have to be careful what you think, and you have to be careful what you eat, because you can dig a grave with these teeth. Uplift yourself. Be smart. One of the things you may want to do when you wake up is 5 to 10 minutes of silent sustained reading. I don't know why I just called it that. I think in high school in class we had what's known as SSR, silent sustained reading. But just find a routine, you guys. You don't have to worry about, okay, what should I do? What should I do? Oh my God. Just start. Tomorrow, wake up and do something beneficial that you didn't do today for your health. Chances are, if you're watching this video, you already do positive things for your health. And if that's the case, that's great. Inspire other people to do the same thing, because this is something that many people aren't doing. Many people, again, are starting their day off on a really negative note. A lot of people wake up and they're pissed off. They're angry at the world. And on top of that, they take that framework of thinking and feeling. And the feeling is more dangerous than the thinking, because if you're feeling something, you're actually affecting your subconscious mind. We'll talk about that more in the near future. But a lot of people are feeling really negative feelings, and then they're eating on top of that and imprinting that type of negativity into the food as they go through digestion. So it's affecting multiple different parts of your life. And on top of that, most people are, they're not getting exercise. I try to make these videos to inspire people because I see what's going on behind the closed doors. I know that this matrix is really screwing people and taking advantage of them and using them. You have become a commodity. You have become a energy source for the matrix. They are using you, ladies and gentlemen. You need to wake up. You need to start taking care of your health so that you can remove your blinders. The more you get healthy foods into your system, the less you eat of the wrong foods and the more you eat of the right foods while fasting in between, the more you're going to gain access to your mind. The more you're going to get more expansion, and you're going to be able to see, hopefully, how you've been duped by this system. You're going to be able to see the efficacy of my words when I say that you need to get away from the damn city to the best of your ability and get back into a more natural environment. Get away from all of the fluorescent lighting. Unfortunately, I've got some LEDs right now in these lights above me that need to come out. I'm going to get the incandescents back in there, but we had some issues, so I put the LEDs back in there temporarily. I need to get a different size incandescent light bulbs, much healthier than LEDs, ladies and gentlemen. These light emitting diodes, that's what LED stands for, create a very similar color temperature to the sun. And when you're underneath this stuff, after the sun goes down, it tells your brain, a particular part of your brain, that it's still, you take in this information through your photoreceptors in your eyes, and it stimulates and charges similar parts of your brain, hypothalamus, this particular part, this nucleus, can't remember the exact name, suprachiasmatic nucleus, I think. Suprachiasmatic nucleus. Don't take my word for it. I believe that's what it's called. It instructs your brain regions to wake up, essentially, in layman's terms. This light, this artificial light. So incandescent light bulbs, pink Himalayan salt lamps, candles, after dark. I'm going to keep talking about this, and I'm going to ingrain it into your mind because I think it's super important. Light is a food source, ladies and gentlemen. You take light in through the photoreceptors in your eyes, and it actually affects your brain. It charges them or calms certain parts of your brain. If that's not a food source, then I don't know what is, ladies and gentlemen. There's a great book called, I think it's called Light is Medicine. I'll put a link in the description box below. Start your morning off on a positive note. Create a routine, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe you want to take some herbs in the morning with your coffee or tea or your water. Just start doing something perpetually while you really want to tap into the positive feeling aspect. Now, I said visualizations. In visualizations, I do kind of a multifaceted visualization that encompasses emotional feeling and just a lot of self-love, essentially, because that's really important. The system doesn't want you to love yourself. You love yourself through taking care of yourself, and one of the ways you take care of yourselves is to remind yourself how much you love yourself. But prayer is something that I do as well. There's so many different things about my patterns in my life that I haven't told you guys that I want to share with you. But anyways, you guys, just a brief little video. I'm going to wrap this one up. I have a bunch of stuff I need to get done. I love you all. Please, again, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Share it. And if you're interested, I have a bunch of material available in my Amazon store. If you follow the link in the description box, you'll be taken to my Amazon store, where I have a lot of different items categorized into different brackets. So I have healthy cookware, I have health essentials, I have algae and marine supplements, just all sorts of stuff categorized into brackets. Now I'm continuing to update this stuff. I think I have over 500 items right now in the store, but I'm continuing to update it. So if you look at it now, there's a lot of stuff in it, but it's not completely finished. I still need to add the healthy lighting section, but you can find healthy lighting stuff in the healthy living space tab. Okay, if you click that tab has stuff to upgrade your living space. Different items, because you live the majority of your life in your home, ladies and gentlemen. Turn it into a health regeneration chamber. Uptake the oxygen in your system with the rollout of 5G, ladies and gentlemen. If it's going to be affecting your life, if it's going to be affecting where you live, if you live in a big city, especially if you live in California, Texas, places like this, the 5G is going to affect the oxygen uptake of the cell. It's going to affect the ability to uptake oxygen. You want to get yourself kind of, you want to ensure that you're getting adequate oxygen, and you need an air filter for that, and you need to consider an ozonator. There are the beautiful thing about all this, I'm not going to call it beautiful, but the beautiful thing about God, what I view as God, is that God always provides a solution. They may be coming at us The evil forces may be coming at us from every angle because they want to suppress the evolution of consciousness through the activation and arousal of higher consciousness, these magical processes that take place within our biology as we get healthier. They're trying to suppress that, and they're trying to mutate the genes so that we're a genetically engineered species, and they want to turn us into an AI complex. They want to plug our biology into an AI system and harvest us. Sounds crazy, but it's true, ladies and gentlemen. There's solutions to everything. Check out that Healthy Living Space tab. Now, before I wrap this up, I want to remind you guys that even if you don't choose to buy things from my store, if you can do me a favor and just, if you're going to shop on Amazon, go into my my Amazon store, open Amazon through that link, and then just shop other items without closing the Amazon tab. So essentially, you go onto Amazon, you open up Amazon by visiting my store, and then you just go to the search tab and look for whatever items you want. And even if you put stuff in your cart that way and buy it, I get a particular percentage of the revenue. So it helps me, it helps fund my operation, and I greatly appreciate that. But I just wanted to remind you guys of that. Expect a lot of videos this month, you guys. I've reached a level where I really just want to produce a ton of content. I have the freedom to do so. So until next time, you guys, peace be with you all, and take care of your health. Start your morning off with the foundation of 3 principles. Make it easy, make it easy, economical, and efficient. What I'm trying to teach people to do with this morning routine thing is to find the rationale and the benefit of proper prior planning, because I've said it once and I'll say it again. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. And if you want to get healthy in a world where the system is trying to make you unhealthy, you need to have some proper prior planning. That way you can avoid piss poor performance. Peace be with you all.